You have been lied to. They told you to work hard, save a little, retire at 65, and call that freedom. But if 40 years of labor leaves you with a pension too small to live on, what do you call that? You were not born to serve until death. You were not born to watch life pass while you trade your soul for a salary. The world does not reward obedience. It rewards the one who sees the trap and walks out of it. And that journey begins here. Listen carefully, because if you miss this truth, you might work to the grave and still die poor. You've been told that loyalty, long hours, and following the rules will pay off in the end. But if 40 years of effort ends in dependency, who truly owned your life? I have seen it too many times, men who gave their youth to a job, only to reach retirement with a tired body, a trembling hand, and a fearful glance at their bank account. They obeyed every rule, stayed quiet, did what they were told, and yet found themselves with nothing substantial to show for a lifetime of effort. They mistook obedience for purpose and loyalty for security. Understand this: slavery has changed its mask, but not its essence. The chains today are not made of iron. They are made of routine, debt, low expectations, and unchallenged beliefs. The system you were told to trust was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to keep you useful to someone else's wealth. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you. Until you see the truth of your condition, you will continue smiling politely while you waste your years praising the very system that keeps you in quiet captivity. You will wait for a retirement that barely covers your rent and call it security. This is not a tragedy, it is a choice. And if it is a choice, it can be unchosen. In this message, you will discover the principles the wealthy learned while others were asleep. You will see why work alone will never set you free, why retirement is the prize of the obedient, not the free, why schools shape employees, not owners, why your job is not a life plan, it is a placeholder, why the rich obey invisible laws the poor ignore, and why waiting is your greatest enemy. But the most important truth? The chains are in your habits. The key is in your mind. And this may be your last warning before time decides for you. Affirm it now. I refuse to work my life away and die poor. I was born to own, not to obey. Let us begin part 1. Work alone will never make you free. You've been taught that hard work is the answer, that if you simply clock in, stay late, and keep your head down, you will one day rise. But you can sell 40 years of your life to another man's dream and still die without a name. You can give your best decades to a company and still retire into scarcity, counting the days until your savings run out. I do not speak against work, I speak against blind loyalty. The man who works without thought is no better than a machine. The man who works without purpose is no freer than a mule. And the man who works without ownership is still a servant, no matter how big the paycheck appears. The difference between labor and wealth is this. Labor is the effort of the body, wealth is the command of thought. Money obeys thought, not time. One man digs a hole, another sells the shovels. Who gets rich? The worker always points to effort. I showed up every day. But the reward goes to the one who builds leverage. Andrew Carnegie didn't become wealthy swinging a hammer. He built a system that multiplied while he slept. He organized men, materials, and processes so that his ideas earned forever. From youth, you were trained to believe that hours equal income. But time is a poor man's currency. It can never be earned back. Every time you trade it for someone else's vision, you sell the only thing that is truly yours. Men are trained to work, not to think, to obey, not to build. And that programming must be broken. Ownership of thought, of systems, of purpose is the only path to freedom. If you trade your time for pay with no greater plan, you are a well-paid servant. Affirm this. I do not sell my life for crumbs. My work builds ownership, not dependence. The truth will not set you free until you act on it. You must rewire the way you see work, time, and value. The wealthy are not merely harder workers, they are strategic thinkers. They build systems that remove them from the daily grind, allowing their assets to produce while they focus on growth. Every hour you spend working without ownership is an hour that builds someone else's empire. This is your wake-up call. Stop renting your life. Stop confusing loyalty with security. You were meant to command, not comply. Your freedom begins the moment you decide that your energy will no longer be spent feeding a system that only returns crumbs. If you feel the discomfort of this truth, good. It means the seed of freedom is alive within you. Nurture it. Protect it. Let it grow into a vision so strong that no paycheck can tempt you back into servitude. And remember, no man ever stumbled into wealth by accident. It is built with clarity, with intention, with ownership. Work is honorable, but only when it is in service to your own freedom. Let this be the day you start building something that cannot be taken from you. You've been told to wait. Work through your youth. Sacrifice the best years of your life so that one day in your 60s you can finally rest. But when that day comes, you're tired, your body is worn, and the freedom you imagined is nowhere to be found. Retirement is not the promise of liberty. It is the illusion that keeps you obedient long enough to be too weak to resist. You weren't saving for freedom, you were saving to delay collapse. The structure was built on one assumption, that you would follow orders until the fire in you burned out. They gave you just enough hope to keep you going, just enough security to keep you from running, and just enough fear to keep you in line. And when you finally arrived at the finish line, you discovered it was only the beginning of decline. The truth is brutal. The man who waits until 65 to start living was never alive to begin with. A pension is not a reward, it's permission to survive. You were never meant to face your final years with dread in your chest and a calculator in your hand. That is not freedom, that is a sentence, and your only crime was trusting a system designed to use you. Wealth is not the product of decades of saving, it is the result of value creation. Henry Ford did not save his way to millions. He did not clock in for 40 years waiting for someone to hand him a future. He built systems. He saw opportunity where others saw limitations. He created something that multiplied while he slept because he understood the law. Wealth works for the builder, not the waiter. The man who builds lives now, the man who waits dies hoping. You were told that delayed gratification is the key to success, but when the vision itself is delayed until your body is too weak to live it, that's not strategy, it's surrender. Most men never even reach retirement. They die before they escape the wheel. And those who do arrive with bodies that ache, wallets that are light, and souls that have forgotten the meaning of movement. This is why the idea of one day is so dangerous. One day is the most subtle chain ever forged. It lets you believe freedom is coming while keeping you in place. It gives you the illusion of patience while stealing the only thing you cannot replace, time. You do not wait for freedom, you build it now. You reject the trap of retirement. Because the trap is not the age, it is the mindset that life begins after the work is done. No. Life begins the moment you claim it. I do not wait for freedom. I build it now. My wealth begins today. Schools create obedient workers, not rich men. From your first day in a classroom, the system began its work not to educate you, but to condition you. You were trained to serve, not to own. To follow instructions, not to create. School was never designed to produce free thinkers. It was designed to produce compliant workers. Think about what you were taught. Sit down. Be quiet. Memorize. Repeat. Wait for permission to speak. Stay in line. Now ask yourself, how many of those lessons do you see in the life of a wealthy, free individual? None. The wealthy rise not by obedience, but by defiance, by thinking differently, by questioning the rules, by daring to step out of line. Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, they refused the path given to them. Edison was thrown out of school because his teachers said he was unteachable. He went on to light the world not because of a classroom, but because of vision, persistence, and belief. And here lies the great irony. The same system that rejected him now teaches about him, celebrating his name while punishing the very spirit he lived by. Schools don't teach wealth. They don't teach you to build income streams, to develop a definite purpose, or to use the laws of wealth, faith, autosuggestion, organized planning. Why? because the system doesn't need wealthy individuals. It needs workers just capable enough to keep it running, but never free enough to leave it. If you want to rise, you must unlearn the thinking that made you poor. You must cast out the beliefs planted by those who never owned their lives. Ask yourself, who benefits from my obedience? Who profits from my delay? Why was I never taught to think like an owner instead of a worker? Education is only powerful when it liberates the mind. When it merely trains the hands, it becomes a prison. If you want freedom, you must study what free men study. You must learn to speak, act, and think like the man you intend to become, not like the one they trained you to be. I think for myself. I was not born to follow instructions. I was born to give them. The path to true independence is not paved with compliance, it is built with defiance, vision, and disciplined action. The sooner you break from the mental script you were given, the sooner you can write your own. Those who dare to step outside the system are the ones who shape it. Those who cling to its rules serve it until the end. Remember, every day you accept the life they handed you is another day stolen from the life you could have built. Do not waste another sunrise living someone else's plan. A job is not freedom. It is not wealth. It is not a life plan. It is a temporary solution for a man who has not yet taken command of his own destiny. You were taught to believe that a job equals security, but in truth it is only a cage with polite walls. The world taught you to seek employment, not purpose, to search for paychecks, not plans, to settle for survival instead of building a life that commands respect and abundance. A job may solve your immediate needs, but it cannot fulfill your ultimate calling. Without a definite chief aim, it becomes a coffin, a slow burial of potential masked as duty. You wake up, punch in, work all day, punch out, and repeat until the cycle swallows years of your life and leaves you wondering where they went. This is not a call to abandon work. It is a call to use it as a tool, not as a master. The free man uses his job for leverage, for skills, for resources, for funding his freedom. The servant uses his job to justify staying in place. The tragedy is not that men work hard. It is that they work hard without direction, without ownership, without purpose. Consider Edwin C. Barnes. He did not despise work. He started as a clerk, but he carried one burning vision: to become a business partner with Thomas Edison. He used his position to get into the room. Once inside, he proved his value and left the job behind forever. That is how wealth is built, not by decades of blind repetition, but through intention, definiteness, and strategy. If you are still working to survive, you are not yet free. If your days are consumed by tasks that build someone else's dream while your own lies dormant, you are still serving. The door to freedom is open, but you must stop kneeling before the illusion of security and start standing for the reality of ownership. Let the rest of the world chase money for its own sake. You must understand what they do. Not the laws that create wealth are spiritual before they are material. You cannot rise until you rise in mind. You cannot earn until you believe you are worthy. You cannot command until you obey the laws that govern riches, not the laws written by men, but the ones woven into the very fabric of the universe. There is a divine order behind every fortune, and if you break that order, the fortune will break you. Money does not simply come from effort, it comes from alignment. Your thoughts must align with your belief with your words with your actions, and your actions with your plan. This is law. This is the sequence the wealthy follow instinctively. Look closely at those who built great fortunes from nothing. Rockefeller tithed not out of superstition, but out of principle. He treated money as a stewardship, not just a possession. Carnegie surrounded himself with minds greater than his own, obeying the mastermind principle, knowing that riches are drawn to unity, definiteness, and mental harmony. Edison spoke his vision aloud long before others believed in it. He walked in certainty while others mocked, obeying the invisible law of belief-faith applied to a definite aim. Wealth is not created by business alone. It is born from belief, discipline, and spiritual alignment. Faith is not mere religion, it is power. It is seeing the invisible as if it were already visible, holding your vision with such intensity that reality must bend to it. What you say to yourself matters. The poor man speaks defeat, and his subconscious obeys. The rich man speaks victory, and his subconscious obeys. If you start each day telling yourself you lack, you delay, you are weak, you have issued orders for poverty, if you start each day declaring belief, clarity, and strength, you have issued orders for prosperity. Wealth does not obey the man who moves without a map. It comes to the man who writes his aim, organizes his steps, reviews them daily, and adjusts with precision. Faith, definiteness, repetition, planning, these are spiritual foundations long before they manifest as money. The poor man often works harder than the rich but remains poor because he works with muscle while the rich work with mind. One sweats without direction, the other thinks with precision. The one who thinks in harmony with these laws can earn in a single year what the other could not in a lifetime of labor. The laws are eternal. The law of definite chief aim, the law of faith through autosuggestion, the law of organized planning, the law of the mastermind, the law of cosmic habit force, which rewards rhythm, not randomness. Break them, and life will break you. Obey them, and the world will yield to you. You must live by internal command. Rise before the world. Speak your aim aloud. Write your instructions to yourself. Review your plan. Build rhythm into every hour. These are not abstract ideas, they are the foundation of every enduring fortune. Riches are not the reward of effort alone, they are the reward of obedience to law. The difference between the man who commands wealth and the man who chases it is not luck, it is alignment. When your vision, belief, words, actions, and plan all point in the same direction, the result is inevitable. Most will never experience this because they live by reaction, not by command. But you can, if you choose to take control today. If you want to understand why most people remain trapped, you must stop looking for chains around their wrists and start looking at the habits that rule their days. Slavery today is not enforced by whips or locked gates. It is enforced by routines, by the quiet comfort of repetition, by rhythms that lead nowhere. A man rises, eats, works, rests, and calls it a life. But is it his life or the one designed for him by others who profit from his blindness? The modern servant is not bound by a master's command, he is bound by a cycle. Unless that cycle is interrupted, it will carry him to the grave with nothing to show but obedience and exhaustion. The chains are in your habits, and the habits begin the moment you open your eyes. What is the first thought in your mind each morning? Is it an instruction to yourself or a distraction from the world? When your body rises but your purpose sleeps, you are already serving. You cannot live like the common man and expect uncommon results. You cannot drift into wealth or wander into mastery. You must command it. And command requires rhythm. A rhythm designed with intention, not by accident. The poor man wakes late, eats thoughtlessly, consumes without producing, reacts instead of creating, and repeats the same unmeasured day over and over. This is the habit system that leads to quiet financial slavery. It doesn't feel oppressive, that is why it's dangerous. It feels normal. But it is only normal because it is widespread. Widespread chains are still chains. Now compare this to the habits of those who built wealth from nothing. Andrew Carnegie rose early and never waited for orders, he issued them. He planned his day the night before, spoke his aims aloud, reviewed his progress daily, and demanded the same from the people around him. Charles Schwab didn't stumble into leadership. He measured every hour, planned every morning, and reviewed every night. Edison tested one idea 1,000 times, not because he was lucky, but because his repetition was structured, rhythmic, aimed at a single vision. Ask yourself, what is your daily rhythm producing? Do you feed your mind with knowledge that builds your aim, or with distractions that destroy it? Do your words reflect clarity, strength, and direction, or are they vague, doubtful, and laced with complaint? Do your actions serve your vision, or do they merely respond to the demands of others? Your habits are your destiny. If you want wealth, form the habits of wealth. If you want power, form the rhythm of power. If you want freedom, form the disciplines of a free man. It is never too late to change, but the moment you take command of your rhythm is the moment your life begins again. The law of cosmic habit force is not a poetic idea, it is a practical truth. Every thought repeated becomes a command to your subconscious. Every action repeated becomes a pattern. Every pattern reinforced becomes identity. And your identity will always produce results that match it. This is why most men fail, not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack rhythm. They drift into their days, they react to life instead of directing it, and then they wonder why nothing changes. The wealthy do not hope for change, they structure it. They design their mornings, their work, their learning, and their rest to align with their aim. If you do not measure it, you cannot multiply it. If you cannot see your progress, you cannot accelerate it. A rich man's habits are not random, they are deliberate, measurable, and repeatable. The poor man's habits are reactive, accidental, and unexamined. You must build a daily system that serves you. Rise before the world speaks. Review your definite aim before you begin the day. Feed your mind with thoughts that strengthen your purpose. At midday, check your progress and correct your drift immediately. At night, measure what was completed, record your lessons, and end the day by affirming your vision. Do this without fail, without excuse, without skipping. Each day, you either build the habits of freedom or you tighten the chains of slavery. There is no middle ground. The choice is made with every sunrise, and the results are revealed with every sunset. The life you want is hidden inside the discipline you resist. Every time you choose comfort over command, distraction over direction, or reaction over creation, you step further from freedom. But every time you take control of your habits, you take control of your destiny. You are not what you wish for, you are what you repeatedly do. Understand this freedom is not a single act. It is the result of small, deliberate actions repeated daily until they form a fortress around your life. If your habits serve your vision, you will rise. If they serve your comfort, you will remain exactly where you are. Most men underestimate the power of the ordinary day. They think greatness is found in extraordinary events, but it is born in the unnoticed moments, the way you start your morning, the words you speak when no one hears, the discipline you keep when no one is watching. Your future self is built in the quiet hours. It is built when you choose to study instead of scroll, when you choose to create instead of consume, when you choose to invest instead of waste. Each choice reinforces an identity, and that identity will always deliver its matching destiny. This is why so many remain trapped. They repeat the wrong rhythms. They think tomorrow will somehow be different, yet they wake at the same time, think the same thoughts, and take the same actions. They are like a man walking in a circle, convinced he is making progress. If you refuse to break the pattern, you cannot change the outcome. The wealthy are ruthless about this. They defend their routines as if their life depends on them, because it does. They protect their mornings from chaos. They choose what enters their mind. They decide what deserves their attention. They know that one broken habit can become a broken year, and one broken year can become a broken life. If you want to rise, stop waiting for motivation and start building momentum. Momentum is the child of habit. It will carry you further than emotion ever could, because emotion fades but habit remains. Your habits are either building your throne or digging your grave. Every sunrise is an invitation to choose which it will be. Wealth, power, and freedom are not accidents. They are the inevitable results of deliberate living. A man who commands his mind commands his world. A man who controls his habits controls his destiny. And yet, most surrender these powers without a fight. They hand over their time to meaningless distractions, their attention to empty noise, and their dreams to the prison of someday. Someday is the most dangerous word in the language of the poor. It sounds harmless, even hopeful, but it is a thief dressed as a friend. Someday convinces you that there is no urgency, that you can wait to act, that your vision will keep until you are ready. But the truth is this: you will never be ready. No man ever felt ready to build an empire, to risk his comfort, or to claim his freedom. He simply decided the time was now. The difference between the man who lives free and the man who dies in chains is not opportunity, it is urgency. The free man knows that time is a currency that vanishes whether you spend it or not. He spends it like an investor, not a gambler. He uses each hour to advance his vision, to multiply his influence, to strengthen his position. The man in chains spends it like a child, trading it for entertainment, gossip, or aimless work that builds nothing lasting. You must decide which man you will be. Every day you wait, the cost of freedom increases. Every delay adds weight to your chains. If you refuse to act today, what will make you act tomorrow? The conditions will never be perfect, but they do not need to be. You are the condition, you are the opportunity, you are the reason. The wealthy understand that success is built in silence, then displayed in public. They do not announce every step. They work in the shadows, perfecting their craft, securing their position, building structures that will outlast them. When the world sees the result, it calls it sudden. But there is nothing sudden about mastery. It is the slow accumulation of victories won in private. If you want that life, you must live differently than the crowd. The crowd seeks comfort. You must seek growth. The crowd lives for weekends. You must live for purpose. The crowd blames. You must take full responsibility. The crowd waits for permission. You must act without it. Responsibility is the foundation of freedom. The moment you decide that everything in your life is your fault is the moment you take the power to change all of it. If you blame the system, your boss, your upbringing, or your luck, you hand them the keys to your future. If you own your life completely, you hold the keys yourself. This is not easy. It is not meant to be. If it were easy, everyone would live free. It is meant to strip away the weak, the indecisive, the excuse makers, leaving only those willing to rise. And the moment you accept that, you stop wishing for an easier path and start building the strength to walk the hard one. You must have a vision so clear that it burns in your mind when you wake and follows you into your sleep. You must see it until the world bends to match it. You must work for it until work is no longer work, but the expression of who you are. And you must protect it from the doubts of others, for most will not understand why you refuse the comfort they accept. The truth is that freedom is not given, it is taken, and it is taken daily, in small, consistent acts of discipline and defiance. Every time you choose your vision over distraction, you take it. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you take it. Every time you choose ownership over excuses, you take it. One day, the life you are building will become the life you are living. The wealth you dreamed will be the wealth you spend. The power you imagined will be the power you wield. And the freedom you sought will be the air you breathe. But that day will only come if you decide, now, to live as if it were already here. Speak like a free man, think like a wealthy man, act like a powerful man. Do this long enough, and the world will have no choice but to treat you as one. You have been given the warning. You have been shown the path. You have been handed the tools. The only thing left is to walk it. And if you will not walk it, then admit to yourself that you have chosen the chains. For there is no middle ground. You are either building your freedom or you are building your prison. Remember, this time will pass whether you use it or not. The years will come and go whether you act or wait. And one day, you will stand in the place your habits have built for you. Choose carefully, for that place will be your home for the rest of your life. Understand this: the life you want will not come to you by accident. It will not arrive because you wished for it, or because you waited for the right moment. It will come only because you decided to take it, because you moved with such purpose that hesitation had no place in your life. Every man has the same hours in a day, but few use them to build anything of worth. Most waste them on distractions, conversations that lead nowhere, and fears that never materialize. The man who rises is not the one with more time, he is the one who wastes less of it. You must live with a standard that refuses compromise. This means saying no when others expect yes, turning away from invitations that lead you off course, and cutting ties with habits and people that drag you down. Every choice is a seed. Plant only what you want to grow. The day will come when you look back at this moment and either thank yourself or curse yourself. You will remember whether you stood up and began to build, or whether you sank back into the comfort that slowly kills ambition, you will see clearly that there was no middle ground, only the path to freedom or the path to regret. Do not let another sunrise pass without progress. Do not wait for the world to understand you. Do not expect applause for doing what must be done. Move in silence, build in silence, and let the results speak so loudly that the world has no choice but to hear.